On the surface, The Danish Girl looks like any other cynically made Oscar bait. A progressive political issue softened by being placed in the past and featuring a transformational performance of a real person at its centre, so we get a tangible sense of acting. But this film is about looking beyond the surface and beneath the terribly distracting wigs. Although I struggled with this film during a recent rewatch, finding it to be very dated already, what I found interesting is the symbolism, particularly with regard to the formidable character of Gerda Wegener, played by Alicia Vikander.
Look at me.
Not everything is about you.
Who I would argue is the driving force and focus of the film, despite what some might have you believe.
Thank you so much for this incredible recognition.
The Danish Girl is adapted from the novel of the same name, which is in fact a fictionalised account of the life of Ina Wegener and Lili Elbe. Despite its basis in reality, this source material was favoured over Elbe's own autobiography, Man into Woman, which suggests that the film is not so much concerned with historical facts, but the greater story. I think this is down to the positioning of Gerda and the relationship that she had with Ina, later Lili. In reality, the two divorced and did not see each other after the fatal surgeries, which were also a little more involved than the film cares to explain. Unlike her husband's focus on landscape, Gerda paints portraits. Where he looks to nature, she turns her gaze on men, and in doing so, makes them the subject.
It's hard for a man to be looked at by a woman. Women are used to it, of course, but for a man to submit to a woman's gaze, it's unsettling.
This power of the gaze is a theme explored in more detail in Celine Sciamma's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, both films finding that for a woman, there is a great deal of power in being the subject also.
Approchez-vous.
Regardez. Si vous me regardez, qui je regarde moi?
Gerda initially has Ina act as a stand-in for a female model, his initial resistance giving way to feelings much more complicated. But the identity of Lili is forged by Gerda, who sketches Ina whilst he's asleep, unaware of being a subject at all. The true manifestation occurs later when Gerda applies Lili's makeup, painting her into existence in the room, before immortalising her on the canvas. To those looking at the painting, they see a flirtatious, sexualised figure, the supposed female cousin of Ina. But it is far more complex than this, deeper than the two-dimensional image. In fact, whenever Lili's portrait is painted by Gerda, we watch her paint from behind the canvas, looking through. We are shown that there is a muddied and unclear dimension that can be overlooked in the painting, just as in the film itself. It is not only through painting that Gerda affects the discovery or development of Lili. She is the model of womanhood from whom Ina draws inspiration. Ina looks to Gerda as a guide, often borrowing her clothes and taking advice on what to wear and how to walk. Director Tom Hooper, utilising the medium of film, cleverly shows some distance between the inherent biological femininity and hyper-feminine imitation by using performance and overacting, whether Redmayne knows he's doing it or not. There is a parallel between Gerda and Hooper, who both aim to bring out the femininity of Lili, choosing how to present their subject.
Don't make her a slut.
It's your fault.
It is through the framing of the film that we can learn more about its characters, their dynamic and internal struggles. After a credit sequence which mimics Ina's landscapes, the film opens on a tight close-up of Gerda's face as she looks at one of his paintings. We see that she is the focus, however dialogue tells us that she is not.
I said, don't you wish you could paint like your husband?
Here Gerda is vulnerable, and our attention is diverted immediately to who we presume the story to be about. Ina. He is shown to us first with far less command in the bottom quadrant of the screen, literally cornered by suited men adorning him with praise. He is trapped, and it is only through a playful look to his wife that he can escape. Within these first few shots, the entire story is laid out before us. The dialogue inferring the status and positioning of the characters, the framing of the scene telling us the opposite. There is an undeniable voyeurism to the camera work as it peers in at often intimate moments. Shooting through windows and within thick-set door frames restates the painting-like quality, but also suggests confinement, especially with regard to Ina. Early into the film, when Ina is discovering Lili, he is framed by clothing, with most of the screen filled by white frills. In this case, the usually imposing hard lines that close in around Einar are softened, and this is shown to have an immediate impact on him, a release. This constraint forced upon Einar by the camera work is gradually eased off as Lili finds herself, but only released fully in the closing moments of the film. In this scene, a scarf that has become symbolically twinned with Lili is caught in the wind and flies overhead, much like the symbolically loaded scarf in Todd Haynes' Far From Heaven.
Oh, I love that scarf.
Captured in the widest possible frame, this final shot suggests liberation. Over the course of the film, we have been exposed to someone experiencing an identity crisis, but it is only through the sidelined character that we are moved to understand and relate it to ourselves. By using Gerda as an audience surrogate, we witness her first understanding the situation, coming to accept it, and finally offering support, all from the position of having to give up the person that she loves. Gerda becomes the voice of empowerment and the model of progressive ideals, but more than this, she is the eponymous Danish Girl.
Look, I have to go. I have some Danish girl waiting to see me.
It's murder on the dance floor, but you better not kill the groove, DJ. Gonna burn this goddamn house right down.